The human brain is often described as one of the greatest wonders of creation. It weighs just about 3 pounds, yet inside this small structure lies the mystery of memory, imagination, consciousness, and what many believe, the very essence of the soul. It's no exaggeration to say that the brain is the meeting point where science and spirituality shake hands. For neuroscience, it is a biological masterpiece, capable of learning, adapting, and reinventing itself. For faith, it is the dwelling place of the mind, the channel through which we can hear the whisper of God. And when we look closely at modern discoveries, we realize something powerful. Perhaps science and spirituality are not in conflict at all, but rather two different languages telling the same story. 1. The astonishing complexity of the human brain. The human brain contains about 86 billion neurons. Each neuron can connect to thousands of others, creating trillions of pathways. Imagine that, a galaxy inside your head, a universe in miniature, pulsating quietly with life. But here's the remarkable part. It's not just electrical signals bouncing around. It's within this very network that our ideas, emotions, decisions, and even spiritual encounters are born. Think about it. Remembering a song from childhood, smelling something that suddenly brings back a flood of memories, or having a flash of intuition that seems to come from nowhere. Yes, science can explain the mechanics, but could it also be a gentle reminder from the divine that we're connected to something greater than ourselves? 2. Neuroplasticity, the brain's incredible ability to change. For centuries, people believed that once we reached adulthood, our brains were fixed, like machines built and then left to rust. Today, science shows us the opposite. The brain is plastic. It can reorganize itself, create new connections, and even compensate for damaged areas. That's why stroke survivors can relearn how to walk or speak. It's why people can bounce back from trauma, rebuild their lives, and even discover hidden talents later in life. Here's where faith comes in. Neuroplasticity mirrors grace. Just as the brain can rewire, our spiritual lives can be renewed. No matter how many mistakes we've made, no matter how deep the scars, we are never stuck. Take forgiveness as an example. Science tells us that forgiveness reduces stress and reshapes emotional pathways in the brain. Spiritually, forgiveness is freedom. Both perspectives point to the same truth. Transformation is always possible. 3. The brain as a channel for divine communication. Throughout history, cultures have seen the brain or the mind as the seat of the soul. The Greeks believed it was the balance point of human nature. The Hebrews saw it as the meeting place with God. In Romans 12 verse 2 we read, "Be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may discern the good, pleasing, and perfect will of God." Notice how modern science and ancient scripture align. Transformation happens in the mind. Think of the brain like an antenna. To receive the right frequency, the antenna must be positioned correctly. Likewise, when we train our minds through prayer, meditation, reflection, and healthy habits, we tune in to the divine frequency. Have you ever had a sudden idea, a moment of clarity, or an answer that seemed to come out of nowhere? That could very well be an example of divine connection, your brain acting as both receiver and transmitter of something higher. 4. Words, emotions, and the spiritual connection. Words are not just sounds. They shape reality. Neuroscience shows us that words influence brain chemistry, releasing chemicals that either lift us up or tear us down. Spiritually, words are power, creative energy. As the Gospel of John says, In the beginning was the Word. Think of two children. One grows up surrounded by encouragement, the other by constant criticism. Science tells us their brains will develop differently. Faith tells us their spirits will too. And emotions? The limbic system, our emotional center, is deeply tied to how we experience spirituality. Resentment and bitterness block connection. Gratitude, compassion, and love open the door. Science and faith converge once again. Both reveal that our mental and spiritual health flourish when we nurture positive words and emotions. 5. Spiritual laws and neuroscience. Here's something fascinating. The ancient spiritual laws we've heard for centuries match what modern neuroscience is only now discovering. Law of cause and effect. Every thought, every action creates a result. Neuroscience explains this as neural reinforcement. Spirituality says, you reap what you sow. Law of adaptation. The brain rewires itself according to environment. Spiritually, bad company corrupts good character, while wise influences shape us for the better. Law of choice. Every decision lays down a new pathway in the brain. Spiritually, free will lets us move closer to or further from our divine purpose. Law of redirection. When one pathway is blocked, the brain finds another. Spiritually, when God closes one door, another opens. The overlap is undeniable. Both science and faith tell us the same thing. We carry responsibility for the seeds we plant in our mind and spirit. 6. Continuous growth, brain and spirituality. Another breathtaking discovery. Neurogenesis, the birth of new neurons. That means it is never too late to change, learn, or start fresh. Spiritually, this mirrors renewal. Each day is a new beginning. God's mercy, like neurogenesis, offers a constant opportunity for rebirth. Picture someone at 60 deciding to learn a musical instrument. Their brain is rewiring, forming new pathways, bringing joy and purpose. Spiritually, anyone at any age can choose to grow closer to God, experiencing peace and renewed meaning. 7. The role of challenges in transformation. Growth rarely comes in comfort. Neuroscience shows us that stress, fasting, exercise, and radical change can stimulate the brain to grow stronger. Spiritually, trials refine us, shaping our faith and character. Think of a time you overcame hardship. Looking back, wasn't it that very struggle that made you stronger, wiser, and more grounded? Pain often becomes the soil where transformation takes root. Conclusion: when we weave science and spirituality together, we discover a deeper harmony. The brain, with all its complexity, its plasticity, and its resilience, is not just a machine. It's a reflection of divine design. Every word we speak, every emotion we nurture, every decision we make not only rewires our brain, but also shapes our spiritual journey. Maybe God is speaking all the time, through a sudden thought, a gentle whisper, a comforting silence, or even through our pain. The challenge is not whether God speaks, but whether we have trained our minds and hearts to listen. In the end, science and faith are not enemies. They are companions, guiding us to the same truth. We were created to grow, to transform, and to move ever closer to the divine. If this message spoke to you, imagine how much more there is to explore about healing, transformation, and the connection between science and spirit. Subscribe now to The Healing Vibe. Here, you'll find wisdom, inspiration, and practical tools to renew your mind, heal your soul, and walk a path of continuous growth. Don't just watch. be part of this journey. Join the healing vibe today, and let's grow together.